Professor Patrick McGorry is a brilliant Australian. Don't agree with everything he's ever said in his life, as I'm sure he would never agree with most of what I say, but he's a brilliant Australian. He and, again, a mate of mine, Professor Ian Hickey, are two people that have always fought for better mental health systems. He, of course, was the Australian of the Year, that being Patrick, in 2010. Today, he released a report that was about the mental health failures of this country and particularly, yet again, how we are failing a generation of kids. Now, if you're somebody who just thinks all they need is, a tablespoon of cement and harden up and all they need is a swift kick in the butt, sorry, that ain't the real world. The real world here is that the kids are in trouble. Now, yes, they are in trouble because they're being told the planet's ending. Yes, they're in trouble because they're being told it's on stolen land, but there is clearly something deeper. The incidence of mental ill health in young people in Australia has risen by 50% in the past 15 years. Oh, that's because they're overdiagnosing, Paul. No, I know all the little off-ramps that people say to not have a real chat about this. I'm not going to take them. Also, there has been a further rising and a steep rising since the COVID-19 pandemic, which is why I raged the way that I did about schools being closed and all of the people who got screwed over. But no, people like Daniel Andrews, they get a little gold medal. They have ruined a generation of kids. Kids who will become adults, who will become parents, and who knows what happens after that, of course, with what is passed down. Teenage girls, 50% of women aged between 16 and 24 experience having a mental health disorder. Oh, that's because of social media. No. Yeah, all of these things, they make it worse. All of these things make it worse, but there's stuff that's chemically going on. All right? Again, I don't say this as some sort of, wellness preacher or blogger or someone who's suggesting that every kid needs Ritalin. The reality is that mental health, there are things that are going on inside people, and when their brain is building, when there are difficulties or deficiencies or things aren't connecting properly, again, just go for a walk outside. It ain't going to fix it. We continue here. Patrick McGorry, his quotes. The conclusion is that society is in trouble in terms of its ability to safeguard the mental health of young people as they make the transition from childhood to adulthood. Yeah, this is depressing. This is not as much fun as it is to watch The Block. I'm sorry for that tonight. But rather than spoon feed a whole bunch of stuff that'll make you feel, nice and warm on the inside, there is tough chats that have to be had sometimes. And the tough chat tonight is something's wrong with our kids. I don't know what the answer is because I'm a TV host. All I can ever do is try to point us in the direction of what the problems are and really pay attention with the people who are experts in this stuff, not the people who turn around and say that we should wear masks outside, not the experts who... I'm not talking about all those people. Again, I know all the off-ramps that people throw to make sure we don't have the conversation, that we don't have the chat. And you will feel a little bit helpless thinking about this because, again, what can we do? Well, again, let's get into a little more from this report, a little more from Professor Patrick McGorry, the Australian of the Year in 2010. He talks about how there is a huge gap between the number of people who have issues to do with mental health and the amount of money that there is to actually deal with mental health. He puts some numbers on this that are going to frighten you. He refers to it as a form of discrimination in a funding sense. Against the mentally ill, it means only 50% of people with mental illness get access to treatment. Repeat, 50% of people with mental illness get access to treatment. Just 15% of that treatment is an acceptable quality. So think of those numbers. 15% of 50% is the right amount of treatment that's taking place. Yet we have so many people with so many problems, and we all know this. We see it every day. We live it in our own lives. We talk about it with our friends and our families, or sometimes we keep it so deep inside. One last one from here. This is all under the radar, and under the radar the public is simmering about this issue. If you talk to any family and anyone that's trying to access mental health care, they have terrible difficulties. We want to see this become a number one health priority. Mental health has always been a poor cousin This crisis is not going to be reversed overnight. It is going to take a political consensus to do so. And while we're dealing with the rising tide, we've got to actually help the casualties, which are 2 out of 5 young people.